Hello everyone, today we are sitting somewhere in that in-between space. Maybe on your bed with one sock still on, maybe on the couch where your coffee has long gone cold, or maybe you're pacing the kitchen floor like a detective in a crime drama. Except the only mystery is why you're still so tired. You feel guilty for doing nothing, don't you? Like if you're not moving, producing, posting, improving, then you're failing. Because hustle is holy and tiredness is taboo. You've seen those posts. We all have the same 24 hours. As if Beyoncé's day also includes a 45-minute commute and broken Wi-Fi. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you really like what I do here. And hey, drop your city and what time it is for you right now. I want to know who's listening, and whether you're already half asleep or just pretending not to scroll. Now, let's start where you are. Not where you wish you were. You shuffled through today carrying a bag no one saw. Not a backpack, not groceries, though yes, you forgot to defrost the chicken again, but an invisible weight. Expectations, deadlines, your parents' voices, your manager's check-in messages. That person online who always seems to be thriving just enough to make you question your life choices. You think rest is something you earn after the checklist is cleared. But here's a secret. The checklist will never be cleared. It regenerates like one of those game bosses, new tasks always respawning. You don't need permission to rest. Let me say that again, just a little slower. You don't need permission to rest. You're not a machine that has to earn sleep by outputting enough effort. You're not a broken phone that needs to prove it tried hard enough before getting plugged in. You're human. And even your phone gets a break when it overheats. The thing is, so much of your exhaustion isn't just from doing. It's from pretending. Pretending you're okay, pretending you're in control, pretending you're fine when someone asks how you're doing in the hallway, and all you want to do is scream into a pillow that hasn't been fluffed in months. But you keep moving, because stillness looks suspicious in a world that runs on speed. And this is where the misunderstanding begins. You've been taught that rest equals lazy, that stopping means losing. But who wrote that rule? Someone trying to sell you a planner? There's nothing productive about burnout. No prize for who collapses the fastest. No applause for the most efficient breakdown. And no, caffeine doesn't count as a coping strategy. Even if you gave it a fancy name like liquid motivation. You don't need to prove you're tired to be allowed to rest. You don't need to be on the edge of collapse to deserve a pause. Think about a tree for a second. Yes, we're going there. A tree doesn't hustle. It grows slow with quiet stubbornness. It doesn't panic in winter. It doesn't shame itself for dropping its leaves. And it doesn't ask for permission to stand still. You are allowed to stop, even when there's still laundry, even when there are unopened emails, even when someone else looks like they're sprinting ahead. Because here's the honest, hilarious truth. Everyone is tired. Some people are just better at hiding it with filters and coffee. And some are just sleepwalking through success, faking it until they make it, or until they break. Let's do a quick check. Have you breathed today? Not the autopilot one you take while checking notifications. I mean a real breath. One that inflates your chest, slows your brain, and makes your shoulders drop like they're finally done pretending to carry the world. Do that now. I'll wait. There it is. Doesn't fix everything, but it's a start. This is your permission slip written in the air between us. To take off your shoes. To close the tabs in your mind. To sit down without feeling like you're falling behind. One more thing before we move on. You're not lazy. You're human in a world that asks too much and praises too little. Your tiredness is not a flaw, it's a signal. And tonight, you're choosing to listen to it. Stillness is strength, not surrender. You don't need to be dramatic about it. You're not raising a white flag. You're not giving up. You're just not fighting everything right now. There's a strange power in choosing to be still. It's the kind of quiet that feels rebellious, especially when the world keeps telling you to rise and grind, which, by the way, sounds more like a coffee machine than a life philosophy. You ever notice how uncomfortable people get when you're not constantly doing something? Like when you say, "I'm resting," they respond with, "Oh, are you sick? Or must be nice to have time." Yeah, Susan. It is nice. You should try it sometime. Stillness makes people nervous because it looks unproductive. But productivity isn't always the point. Some things like peace, clarity, and healing don't show up on to-do lists. You can't tick a box that says, "Remember who I am." So you lay there, not asleep, not scrolling, just breathing and listening. Maybe a ceiling fan whirs above you like a lazy planet. Maybe a distant car horn reminds you that life goes on without your input. And that's the point. Life doesn't need you to constantly push. Sometimes it needs you to pause so it can catch up to you. Let's go back for a second. Remember when you were a kid and naps weren't optional? You could fall asleep on the floor in broad daylight, drooling into a pile of crayons, and everyone would say, "Ah, they must have needed that." Now you fall asleep in public and someone calls HR. But your body still needs the same kindness. Your soul still needs the same softness. Only now you have to give it to yourself. Here's the real magic of stillness. It allows you to hear the stuff that's been drowned out. That tiny voice whispering that you're enough. That it's okay to not know the next step. That your worth isn't based on your latest output. That joy can exist even when progress doesn't. And the funniest thing? The world doesn't fall apart when you take a break. You log off for a night and come back to the same chaos. But you're just a bit more grounded. A little less reactive. A little more you. Stillness isn't absence. It's presence. You're not gone. You're here more than ever. You're feeling things instead of performing them. You're allowing space instead of filling every second. Let me tell you about this guy once. He was a manager at a place with bad coffee and worse lighting. He used to measure his value by how many tabs he had open, like a badge of honor. One day he tried something radical. He blocked off a whole afternoon to do nothing. People freaked out, thought he was quitting, thought he was having a breakdown. Turns out, he was just tired of performing exhaustion like it was a skill. That break changed him. He started finishing earlier, laughing more, sleeping deeper, still busy, sure, but no longer brittle. You could try that. Not the whole afternoon. Start small. 5 minutes on the balcony. A silent cup of tea. Turning your phone face down. The world won't end. Promise. Here's what no one tells you about pausing. It doesn't make you fall behind. It helps you stop running in circles. It doesn't mean you're not committed. It means you're not enslaved to the pace. And it doesn't mean you've lost your edge. It means you're finally sharp enough to cut through the noise. Think of your life like a song. You need the pauses between notes. Otherwise, it's just chaos. And tonight, this moment, you're claiming your pause. So rest not just because you're tired, but because you're wise. Lie there with your dreams tucked under your arm like a soft book. Let your thoughts drift like leaves on still water. Tomorrow will come with its demands, yes. But tonight is yours. Let the silence wrap around you like a weighted blanket. Let your breath soften. Let your spine uncoil. Let your mind remember that you are not a machine. You are not a machine. You are not a machine. You are stardust wrapped in skin, wandering through a noisy world. And tonight, finally, you are quiet. So here we are, you lying still, me whispering into a corner of your evening. And together we've done something rare, we've stopped. And stopping doesn't mean failure. It doesn't mean laziness. It means knowing the value of your own presence, even when it's not attached to effort. Let me leave you with this. Rest is not a reward. It's a right. You are allowed to pause even when the dishes aren't done. Even when the inbox is full. Even when you haven't earned it. Because needing rest isn't something you justify, it's something you honor. The truth is, some days your greatest act of courage is choosing not to push, not to prove, not to pretend. You let go tonight of the shame, of the pressure, of the myth that rest is weakness. Tomorrow may ask you to rise again. But tonight is a gentle rebellion. One deep breath at a time. So breathe wherever you are. Let the room hold you. Let the day fade without resistance. And if you fall asleep to my voice, good. That means you finally stopped carrying what wasn't yours. I'm proud of you.